And a good day to each and every one of you, folks. I want to start out by saying many people aren't aware of what I'm about to present. And after you hear it, if you're in doubt, check it out. It's easy to find. It's so available, all you have to do is just Google it. It's readily available information. But it's funny how many people are not aware of this. The day the Democrats took over was not January 22nd of 2009. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because it's just part of the Democrats' mantra to go around and talk about how all the bad things that are happening today is because of what they inherited from Bush. They casually speak it, and nobody checks up on them. Nobody follows up and actually checks to see if the information they're spewing out is correct. And we've been continuously bombarded with a bombardful barrage of such accusations.
The president was quick to link his Republican challenger to what he called the failed policies of the past.
I inherited $1 trillion deficit.
What do you think, Mika? Do you think it'll work? Blaming George Bush?
Well, I'm hoping.
There's a principle here. You know, it's an old saying that if you say something enough times, if you tell somebody something enough, they're gonna believe it. That means you can tell somebody a lie enough times to where they will eventually believe it. You know, a person can tell a lie enough times to where the person telling the lie will eventually believe it. Then they can tell the lie with conviction. They can muster up all the feeling and dynamics that you need when telling the lie because they believe it. Well, let's look at these facts. The day the Democrats took over was not, I repeat, was not January 22nd of 2009, the day that we all know that Barack Obama was sworn into office as President of the United States. No, it was actually January 3rd, 2007. This is the day the Democrats took over. The day the Democrats took over the House of Representatives and the Senate was at the very start of the 110th Congress, and that was January 3rd, 2007. 2 years before Barack Obama was president. The Democrat Party controlled a majority in both chambers for the first time since the end of the 103rd Congress in 1995. Once again, the Democrat Party controlled a majority. They were in charge. They controlled it. They had the majority. Bush was merely a figurehead. For those who are listening to the liberals propagating the fallacy that everything is, quote, Bush's fault, think about this. January 3rd, 2007 was the day the Democrats took over the Senate and the Congress. At that time, the Dow Jones closed at 12,621.77. The GDP for the previous quarter was 3.5%. Well, think about that, folks. The unemployment rate, are you ready? Unemployment rate was 4.6%. George Bush's economic policies set a record of 52 straight months of job growth. Once again, these are facts. Check them out. George Bush's economic policies set a record of 52 straight months of job growth. January 3rd, 2007 was the day that Barney Frank took over the House Financial Services Committee and Chris Dodd took over the Senate Banking Committee. The economic meltdown that happened 15 months later was in what part of the economy? Banking and financial services. Unemployment, due to this crisis, by, among many other things, dumping $5 to $6 trillion of toxic loans on the economy from your Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac fallacies, Mr. Barney Frank and Chris Dodd. Bush asked Congress 17 times to stop Fannie and Freddie. Once again, here we go. Listen closely. Bush asked Congress 17 times to stop Fannie and Freddie because it was financially risky for the U.S. economy. And who took the third highest payoff from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac? Barack Obama. And who fought against reform of Fannie and Freddie? Obama and the Democrat Congress. So when someone tries to blame Bush, remember January 3rd, 2007. Not 2009, 2007. The day the Democrats took over. Budgets do not come from the White House. They come from the Congress. And the party that controlled Congress since 2007 is the Democrat Party. Furthermore, the Democrats controlled the budget process for 2008 and 2009, as well as 2010 and 11. In that first year, they had to contend with George Bush, which caused them to compromise on spending when Bush somewhat belatedly got tough on spending increases. For 2009, though, Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid bypassed George W. Bush entirely, passing continuing resolutions to keep government running until Barack Obama could take office. At that time, they passed a massive omnibus spending bill to complete the 2009 budgets. And where was Barack Obama during this time? He was a member of that very Congress that passed all of these massive spending bills. And he signed the omnibus bill as president to complete 2009. If the Democrats inherited any deficit, it was the 2007 deficit, the last of the Republican budgets. That deficit was the lowest in 5 years, and the fourth straight decline in deficit spending. After that, Democrats in Congress took control of all the spending, and that includes Barack Obama, who voted for the budgets. If Obama inherited anything, he inherited it from himself. So in a nutshell, what Obama is saying is, I inherited a deficit that I voted for, and then I voted to expand that deficit fourfold since January 20th. The idea that all of this horribleness was inherited directly from Bush is a fallacy. But the Democrats have managed to just dominate all of the mainstream news media and program everyone into believing that that actually is the case, that they inherited all from George W. Bush. No, they didn't. The Democrats don't think very highly of the average folk. No, they actually think the American public's rather stupid. I mean, idiotic. Why else would Nancy Pelosi say this?
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
No, Miss Congresswoman, it's your job. That's why we, the people, put you there. The people from your district put you in Washington to represent them, to do such things as reading bills before you pass them, studying the situation, talking it over with committees and pondering things and doing your job. That's what you're there for. You're not there to be self-aggrandized. You're not the queen. You're not there to get rich. You're not there to get famous or any of that. You're there to represent your district, who all got together and voted you in. And when you're done, you go back home. That's what George Washington said anyway. He was a big advocate on when you're done serving, you go back home to your farm and work it. What happened to that idea? What happened to that America? Isn't America supposed to be run by the people, we the people? And we the people vote for our representatives? We put our people up in Washington to represent us and take care of our interest, not their interest, our interest. But the idea that things are just Bush's fault, it's not going to fly. It's my contention that it won't fly during this election. Come back afterwards and say, TomZom, you were wrong. I will stand humbly corrected. But I believe that we are in for a big surprise, regardless of what the mainstream media is telling us. Put your comments down, folks. I appreciate you tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. See you tomorrow, folks.